The final expansion for Control is here, and it was marketed as this grand return for Alan Wake. However, it's not, and you should not come into this DLC expecting so. Instead, it serves more like a prologue of what is to come for both Control and Alan Wake. It does provide some interesting context into the overworld and cool possibilities for the future of this series, but ultimately AWE falls short and serves as a mediocre end to this otherwise outstanding adventure. AWE has Jessie heading into the investigation sector of the FBC after having a vision of Alan telling her to do so and check out an alarm. Jessie learns the sector was closed off after a massive calamity. This includes altered objects and a deadly test subject that will hunt Jessie throughout the facility, and essentially it becomes this incredibly dangerous area, or at least you're expected to believe that on paper. Alan does provide a guiding hand for Jessie, similar to how the pages of Departure provided information about the future of Alan's adventure. Alan does the same for Jessie. The issue is that DLC was marketed as this huge crossover, and it's not. Jessie sees glimpses of Alan, but there's something wrong with these interactions. It's going to lead to a lot of theories, which I'll have one uploaded soon about my own interpretation of this DLC, but Jessie just goes on her merry way and tries to kill the creature hunting her down and restore order to the sector. She mostly just leaves Alan to deal with his situation very coldly. In fact, this is one of her comments on Alan being, well, mentally tortured. At least that's how it's shown.
Whatever is going on with Wake, he clearly needs some help.
AWE does try to create this tense horror experience by providing collectibles that highlight how dangerous this area is, but it just doesn't work. The reason tension existed in Alan Wake was because he was just an ordinary guy armed with a flashlight and a gun. Jessie has literal godlike abilities. The first interaction with the creature is haunting, but after that moment it loses its luster because Jessie can levitate and hurl forklifts at the creature. At first, it does feel fully unstoppable, but eventually you learn its weaknesses. Of course, it's weak to light, and you just start chasing the creature as you start turning on the lights in the facility. I mean, all Jessie really needed was to find a flashlight, which is somehow impossible in a building full of soldiers. Instead, you have to carry around a lamp using TK. It just doesn't really make any sense. You can call rangers in, but for some reason they can't bring Jessie a flashlight. I don't know. The story simply does not properly convey the gameplay. You're told this area has gone to hell due to the lack of security, and it has, but there's nothing too major that Jessie cannot handle. In fact, the core game had much more dangerous threats than this abandoned area. The issue is that the altered items you encountered are mostly harmless. I mean, they're still dangerous, but they're not as dangerous as, say, the camera from the Foundation or that flamingo statue from the locked off area. There's a mailbox that sends threatening messages, a living astronaut suit that puts you on a fetch quest, and a train that requires you to solve a simple narrative puzzle. What's interesting is the history behind the objects here. You learn that people are selling supernatural objects, creating them, and even come from space. You get small snippets of this through the collectibles and interviews, where the FBC agents actually kidnap people and often violate US and human rights to get the information they need. It's very interesting and I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope they explore this further, but it completely overshadows the core narrative. As you slowly track down the creature and turn on the lights just to kill it, it doesn't really lead to anything that interesting, unlike the Foundation, where you got to interact with the former, which was a creature that you really had little information about. A personal annoyance I had with the DLC was the contradiction between the creature and the hiss. At first, you see that they're enemies and it's shown in a scripted event that they are fighting one another. However, when you fight the creature, they work together with the hiss. It's just very odd. I don't understand why. Maybe there's an issue with the programming, but they should be fighting one another, but they seem to be working together during the final battle. I don't understand it, but that's what's going on here. AWE doesn't deviate from the core mechanics. You gain access to a new service weapon mod that shoots grenades, and fight a new ranger hiss that can hover and also shoot grenades but lacks TK abilities. The investigation sector does have some cool points, such as dead bodies littered around the area, something that was absent in the core game because the hiss took control of all the bodies. along with indications that people were leaving in a hurry and keeping the threat at bay with man-made barricades and papers literally everywhere. Unlike the Foundation that offered an entirely new area to explore and the ability to see more of the astral plane, here you're just exploring more of the FBC. The altered objects are disappointing, as I stated. Unlike the television or the camera from the Foundation that each had amazing missions that complemented their design and their function, the altered items here are mostly just fetch quests, horde battles, and narrative puzzles. They do complement the objects, but they're really nothing exciting. Like I stated earlier, it's the history behind the objects that are more interesting than the actual objects themselves. You do fight the dark presence in small ways, using a light to destroy the shadows, using found lamps. Again, I'm just really confused of why no one could bring Jessie Faden a flashlight, but she can call rangers to fight by her side. Just bring her a flashlight. You have thousands of soldiers inside this building who are armed to the teeth. I'm pretty sure you can find a flashlight. AWE is a mediocre end to control, which is incredibly disappointing because I love this game and I was hoping for a bigger bang. It offers more of the core mechanics and doesn't deliver beyond that. The collectibles are the best part, and they showcase this brand new world full of black market supernatural items and a terrorist cell creating artificial objects of power. It's so amazing, but they overshadow the core narrative because it's just so bland. AWE mostly just focuses on exciting players for the future of this series rather than focusing on the present, and that's where it falls short. So there you have it. AWE is not the greatest end to control, but it's a decent enough ending to give us excitement for what the future could hold for this franchise. Perhaps it will be Control 2 or Alan Wake 2, we'll have to wait and see, as it's heavily hinted that the next title is years away. So tell me what you think about Control's AWE expansion in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay awesome, everyone.